for the session. Okay. So today we are here for our week 4 of understanding incubation and entrepreneurship. It's a 12-week course, and as expected, every week we are meeting. And the intent of this problem solving sessions is that as a learner, if you are having any doubts, queries, you can discuss and ask. Apart from that, we do a set of 10 questions which are little different from your live assignment. And the idea there is to help you prepare for your final examination, which is going to be a proctored examination, wherein you'll be going to a physical exam center and attending the examination. Right. So, obviously, there it will be a completely probably a new set of questions, or if you're lucky, you might get the same questions which you see in the assignments. But that completely depends on how the instructor and the NPTEL team is setting up the examination. But keeping that aside, I mean, our aim is to prepare ourselves well for the final examination, and that's why we are meeting every week on Saturdays between 3 to 5 p.m. Right? Uh, if anybody would want to introduce themselves, we can do that. Anyone who, if you'd like to, please introduce yourself, your name, what you're doing. Anyone? All right. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Abhishek Srivastav, and I am the TA for this particular course. And I have been taking up this course as a TA for a couple of more times in the previous years. And this time again, I've taken up this course. And currently, I am a research scholar at Department of Design IT Roorkee. And prior to that, my undergraduate education is in architecture, which is Bachelor of Architecture, and then followed by Masters of Industrial Design from Department of Design, School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. And after completing my UG and PG, I worked as a designer at many institutions and organizations. This includes Infosys, which is an IT company. It's in Bangalore. And then there is a firm called Think Design. It's still there. It has many branches as of now across India and overseas as well. Right. So after that, I took up entrepreneurship. I had set up my own firm. It was a design consultancy, and I was working as a co-founder there for 2 to 3 years. And then slowly I started teaching in parallel as a design educator. And I taught at institutions like World University of Design, EUP Institute of Design, and SP Delhi. And so then I completely transitioned into an academician. So after around 8.5 years of work experience, both as a design professional and a design educator, I realized that I probably need to take a break and would want to deep dive into research, and that's where I joined IIT Roorkee as a PhD scholar, and was lucky to receive the Prime Minister's Research Fellowship, under which we have been given a mandate to teach every week. And that's where, we got this flexibility of taking up NPTEL courses. And we have been taking it up. It's quite convenient. And as a learner also, I think it opens up a lot of possibilities because you get access to the very premier faculty members, the people for whom even 5 minutes is very difficult. They are here to guide you, to tell you, share their experiences, and obviously the IIT Hyderabad and the students, who are actually following the path which has been uh, given by these faculty members. So, as a learner, you are able to see, I mean, the entire process of how these students are trying to frame up their pitch, their study, their approach, their target audience, and all these, people who are a part of incubators, hand-holding teams, probably connecting with the funding agencies as well. How these are actually guiding them, helping them, shaping their entire pitch, right? So that is what is being happening in this particular course. Slowly and eventually, when you see these students presenting, they are basically refining their pitch. Right. And in parallel to this, in all these weak content, we also get people from the industry who share their experiences, who share their incubators, who talk about their incubation facilities, and probably bring on board the people and the entrepreneurs who had successfully met their program, or they have concluded their program at their facility. Like in the initial few weeks, you saw GDC, wherein we had three panel members from those who had actually been a part of GDC, and they concluded their study and they shared their experiences of how GDC helped them, guide them, mentor them, and they refined their pitches, their customer discovery approaches, and slowly they were driven to a path which was very much helpful to them in terms of reaching out to the customers and making a successful startup, right? So with that brief introduction, maybe we'll start with the session today. Once again, I'll call upon if anybody wants to speak up, share your feedback. अभी तक आपको क्या समझ में आ रहा है? What is it that you have learned by now? Any experiences? uh, you know, uh, if you can please share. Otherwise, I'll start my presentation. So we'll take a pause if anybody wants to speak up. No issues. It's perfectly fine. But I would request all those who are here that even if you're not able to speak or you don't feel like speaking, down the line when we have our set of 10 questions, I would really want you to please share your opinions. What could be the right answer? You can just type in ABC options, whichever you feel is correct. If you can unmute and speak, that is also great. But if not, just type in the Google chat box. And so, anyways, since I share my screen, I don't get to see the names of people who have commented. It's more like an anonymous feed which I get, and at least there will be some kind of dialogue, and we'll have a better learning altogether, right? So I'll share my screen. So that's the window which you see is basically a video recording software. So anything which is there in the desktop will be actually recorded. So it's called OBS as a software, and it's pretty much good, available freely. So even if you would want for you to have some use case to use it, I think it's a good software to explore. So I'm just sharing from an information perspective, right? I hope you are able to see my screen. If anybody can please say yes or text chat box message. Is my screen visible? Is the cover slide visible to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Great, great. Thank you so much. All right, all right. Perfect. So let's begin the day. Today we are meeting for the fourth time. And as we meet today, we complete our one third of this journey, which is a 12-week journey. And so, like, completing one third is very much incremental, and it's a good milestone in our long 12-week journey. The course is Understanding Incubation and Entrepreneurship. The instructor is Professor VK Chakravarti sir, who is from IIT Bombay. And today we are meeting for the fourth week, and my name is Abhishek. Take a different color pen. So, Things are visible and clear. Okay, so these live sessions are here to help you in the current run of courses. How and why have we written help? Because we do a lot of things. Uh, we do a content recap, which is very, very important and helps, a quick browse through of what the content was. Prior to it, we start with a set of protocol slides. And the idea of protocol slide is to make each and every learner aware of the basic information around the course, the marking criterias, the certification criterias, the examination criterias. And that's why we have a set of slides which we repeat in every session. Because what we have experienced is that a new learner can join in any week and every week. And the past couple of experiences also tell me that, people have joined in the 11th and 12th week and even in the extra session, right? So that's why we do a set of protocol slides. This is followed by the content recap, which is basically a visual summary. What do we mean by visual summary is that the entire content is shown as a snapshot summary. So these are the images, snapshots taken from the video content, and we just browse through them so that you can just revise back very quickly before we attempt set of 10 questions, right? And then we have discussion forum questions. So there is a probability that if you have been following discussion forum, probably you would have received the response which I'm sharing to the learners. In case you are not following discussion forum or you have not joined in the discussion forum, we'll just show the questions and the responses given to them, right? So this is how we aim to help you in preparing for your final examination. We shall discuss and solve week specific assignments. Now, week specific assignment specifically means that based on the current week's content, although the content for week 5 is also not now available, but we'll be discussing the week 4 content today, and because it still has a deadline which is left, like we'll be having a set of 10 questions which are other than the live assignment. Why this? Because live assignments are there to assess you, and the marks which you receive in live assignments will be considered when the scenario of certification comes in. Okay, we'll be having a slide wherein we will see in detail about what are the certification criteria and all. We'll respond to the questions and queries. If you have any questions, we'll respond to that. You can post your questions in the chat box. You can post your questions in the discussion forum. You can post your questions by unmuting yourself in this particular live session, and we'll try to address you. Probably all the learners can also, be a part of that, and we all can actually have a dialogue and address those questions. Content recap of the ongoing week. So that I've already mentioned. We do a content recap. Okay. So during the live session, there are some basic ethics and decorum which we request all the learners to follow, which is the first one being keeping your mic on mute to avoid any noise disturbances. The idea is that all these sessions are being recorded. I just showed you the software which I've been using. The intent is that these sessions will be uploaded on the YouTube. And the idea is that even if a learner is not able to attend the session today, because there could be professional engagements, there could be academic engagements, there could be an exam, or you might not be well. So, whenever you have the convenience of time, whenever you have the luxury of time, you can actually go to the YouTube, go through the link, at your own pace. You can slow down the video, you can modulate the playback speed, you can fast forward it at a 2x speed, you can listen, but at your own convenience, at your own pace, you can actually go through the entire session. You can unmute yourself if you have any questions or while responding, so that is always an open option. अगर आपके पास कोई सवाल है, if you have any questions, you can unmute, you can speak. For questions, kindly post in the discussion forum. Now, although we have three different modes of asking a question or a query, but the most preferred one is the discussion forum. The most preferred one. Why? What are the three ones? The first one is using the Gmeet chat. The second one is unmute and ask. And third one is discussion forum. Right. And this we say is the most preferable one, and I'll tell you why. The first thing is that in the discussion forum, when you ask a question using this particular functionality, you can attach a video link and timestamp. So the context is actually established. So you don't have to articulate the question in a very refined way because already we have a link and the context is established. So we can actually pinpoint on what is the question you are trying to ask. Now, the second thing is that the moment you post a question in discussion forum, three types of users get notified. First one is all the learners. So all the learners who have registered for this course will actually be notified via email. Second is NPTEL members. So there are NPTEL members also who are keeping a watch and they also get notified. And the third is me as a TA, right? So we all get notification that somebody has asked a question. And the best part is that when I am responding as a TA and if I reply all, each and every learner will actually get the response. So I don't have to respond. No, I do have the option of responding as an individual to the learner or reply all. But I generally prefer reply all because there could be questions which are there in the minds of many learners and probably you have not asked and that particular learner is asking. So if a question is posted in a public all manner, let the answer be also given in a public all manner so that everybody who might have had that question also gets to know the answer of that question. Right. So that is the idea behind using discussion forum. What you see here is a snapshot of the SWAM portal. These are the different tabs. You have announcement tab, you have about the course, where you get all the course content, progress tab, and further. If you want to register for the examination, this is the CTA. CTA is basically the call to action. If you click here, it will be taking up you to the entire registration page of the examination. All right. If you remember in the previous slide, we discussed about recording of the session and uploading it on the YouTube. And these are the links where these will be uploaded. So the YouTube video is generally uploaded in this particular link, while the presentations are uploaded in the Google Drive. All right. Now, I've just mentioned these links as a reference, but if you want to actually access them, you'll go to your login page, you will be able to see a problem solving session text written. When you'll be clicking here, it will take you to a separate page, which will again say click here. And when you click there, it will again lead you to the spreadsheet. And it will be written week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, right? And for each week, there will be a YouTube link. For every week, there will be a link. However, the presentations are uploaded in a Google Drive, which is a common drive for all the presentations. All right. So these presentations, which also includes our annotations, votings, think aloud, diagrams, certain visuals, these gets translated from PPT to a PDF and we upload it. The idea of uploading a PDF is that, Nobody should be able to edit it, change the correct answers, right? So there are always certain mischievous cases which might manipulate with these things. But in the PDF form, these manipulations are a little difficult. So hence where we upload PDFs. All right. So the course instructor is Professor VK Chakravarti sir, who is basically from the IDC School of Design, which is there at IIT Bombay, Maharashtra. He also heads the Design Innovation Center there. And currently, he is a part of Mahindra University and he's setting up School of Design there. Right. So these are his affiliations. A very renowned and a very senior professor in design, Professor VK Chakravarti sir. He was earlier a part of ID Delhi, just for information's sake. So the course run is of 12 weeks and the assignment deadline is for week 4, it's 19th of Feb. So you still have some time left. If you think might have missed the deadline, please be sure that it is still 19th and please submit your week 4 assignments. Okay. The final examination date is 27th of April. And I have mentioned 2 time slots. So what do we mean here is that you have the option of either appearing in the examination in the slot 1 or slot 2. Again, these are based on my previous experiences. It might change depending upon the new pattern and the year. But up till now, it has been primarily happening in these 2 time durations, 9 to 12 and 2 to 5. And these are given depending upon the number of learners who are there to attend it. And the venue is basically one of your choice. What I mean here is that you are given the option to upload probably 3 options. That's what I've known so far. To for the space, sorry, the location where you want to go and attend the um, examination, and one of them is allocated to you, right? So depending upon your choice, one gets allocated. So what we see here is the progress tab. It comprises of 2 heads. One is the unit-wise progress and then the assessment scores. These are all initially in a collapsed manner, but here if you see it is expanded. This one is also, this is collapsed. Okay. So within unit-wise progress, what we see here is the units, the week-wise content. The blue part signifies that this is the content you have gone through. The gray part highlights that this is the content you are still haven't seen it. Okay, so it's like a track. It's like the lesson progress, and the more you see if you see the entire video, probably you will see being all in the blue color. Okay, so it's just a signifier kind of a thing which tells us the amount of content we have covered, right? The second part is the assessment scores. So the week wise progress also happens by the marks you are getting, right? So every week there is a content. So every week you are getting certain questions, you are attempting it on this particular platform, and you are getting scored based on the performance of those 10 questions in the SWAM portal. Yeah. All right. So, coming on to the examination certificate part, course is free to enroll and learn from, but if you want a certificate, you have to register and write the proctored examination at one of the designated exam centers. Right? So there is also a fee which is 100,000 rupees per examination. But that is there till Feb 24th. However, the last day to register is Feb 28th. So between Feb 24 to Feb 28, 5 p.m., there will be some late fee charges. So if you want to avoid that, it's always preferable that you have still time left before Feb 24th. And before Feb 24th, you actually register for the examination, especially if you are a student, college student, and you are doing, have taken up this course for a academic credit requirement. All right. Also, there is a fee waiver for various categories. So there is a fee waiver for SST category and PWD category. Obviously, you'll have to upload some valid document on the basis of which you will be availing this particular fee waiver. Right. So this is again for information sake. Criteria to get a certificate. This is a little important thing. I'll just give you a minute to please read it, and then we'll understand, what this is about. Okay, just take a minute to read this, and we'll uh, help you understand it. All right. So there are total two components of your overall marks criteria. One is your internals, then is your externals, and then your overall score. So the internal is basically your week wise assignment which you are submitting on the NPTEL portal. Okay. Which means there are total week 1 to week 12, 12 assignments which you'll have to submit. Now, NPTEL takes the or considers the best 8, right? And they are given a weightage of 25%. The externals, which you reach at a physical exam center, is given a weightage of 75%. And these two add up to make your overall 100% score. Now, the catch here is that in the internal, your score needs to be greater than 10 out of 25. The external, it has to be greater than 30 out of 75. So that in all, your score is 40 out of 100. Okay. It says if one of the two criteria is not met, you will not get the certificate even if your final score is this much. So let's try to decode what they are trying to say. Okay. For example, in the first scenario, you preferred very well and you performed great in your internals and you got around 20 out of 25, which is doable. We have seen people getting those much marks. However, you did not perform well. You probably scored just, let's say you scored 25 out of 75. So your overall score is 45. Okay. Now you are meeting this criteria, you are meeting this criteria, but you are not meeting the external criteria, which means you won't get the certificate. Let's take another example. You scored 5 out of 25, but you scored very amazingly well. You scored 55 out of 75. Your overall score is 60 out of 100. You're meeting this score, you're meeting this score, but then you're not meeting this criteria, which means again, no certificate, right? So this essentially means is that gives significant importance to both internals and externals. दोनों दोनों ही महत्वपूर्ण है. Both of them are important. Please, take them seriously. Uh, read it multiple times and then submit. Okay. And NPTEL also gives you the flexibility of submitting it a number of times, multiple times. What it means is that till the exam deadline is over, you can submit your assignments multiple times. So there are chances of you getting improved marks. All right. So this is the content recap, a very brief summarized version of how we have progressed from week 1 to week 2 till week 3 to week 4, starting with the basics of entrepreneurship, the Gopal Krishna Deshpande Center, STEM colleges, why startups fail, mistakes by startups, lean startup. Then we reached on to hand holding, journey of Mustafa and the panel members. Then we reached out to methodology for innovation, Chakku 7 C's, team building, and then the ideas program, which we'll be discussing in today's content, the Solar Oven case study, and the ID Hyderabad student projects, along with the additional learning material. So these are the two typology of questions. First one is having single correct answer, which are basically the radio button questions. And the second typology is multiple correct answer. Okay, so it has a square checkbox kind of a thing, and this one is a circular one. Okay, so if I have to select what paratha do you want, I can select only one of them. So it could be gobi, mix, or aloo. So just one of them. However, what do you want in your burger? Since the multiple correct answers, I can have the choice of taking the first two or the third one as well, or all of them. Okay, so you have to make that decision thoughtfully. Why do I say thoughtfully? Because there is a backend algorithm running for the proportional marks. And I'll discuss that as well. Okay. So again, it comes with three pointers, and take a minute to just read it, and we'll take up an example and we'll try to address this. All right. So we are trying to understand the marking of multiple choice questions. The first one says if all options chosen by the student are correct and no correct answer has been chosen, then full marks are awarded. So we'll try to understand this by an example. The question says which among the following built forms are in Delhi? Okay, built forms. So can anyone tell me what are the correct ones? Which among the following built forms are in Delhi? The options are Qutub Minar, Lotus Temple, Red Fort, and Gateway of India. Anyone? You can please type your responses on the chat box. All right. Yes, perfect. So the correct responses are Qutub Minar, which is there in the Mehrauli area of Delhi, if you've been to Delhi. Lotus Temple, it's quite close to a place called Nehru Place. Lotus Temple, the Baha'i temple. And then you have the Red Fort, जिसे हम लाल किला के नाम से भी मशहूर है. Okay, so the correct answers for this question are A, B, and C. Okay, now let's take the three scenarios and understand how the marking will vary in all these scenarios. All right. Okay. If all options chosen by the student are correct and no incorrect answers have been chosen, then full marks, which means if I select A, if I select B, and if I select C, and if I submit it, I'll get full marks. All right. Which means if the question is of 1 marks, probably I'll get one out of one. Okay. Let's understand option 2 or scenario 2. If at least one incorrect answer has been chosen, then no marks, which means if you select A, B, and D, if you select B, C, and D, if you select C, D, and likewise, since you have chosen D, which is the incorrect one, you'll be getting 0 marks, no marks. And the third scenario is if only correct answers are chosen but not all correct answers have been chosen, then partial marks proportional to the number of the correct answers chosen are awarded, which basically means if you select A, B, and if you submit, if you select B, C, or A, C and submit, or if you just select A, B, or C individually and submit, you'll get some partial marks. Proportion. So if you are selecting two options out of three, probably you'll get 0.66. If you're selecting one, you might get 0.33 out of one. So you'll be guided by some proportional marking. That is what is called as proportional marking. All right. Anybody who has any doubt in this particular slide? It pertains to the marking criteria, and it's I feel it's something which is of importance because especially in your internal this thing you might get a lot of multiple choice questions, and to improve the chances of your marking, if you are confident about the correct ones, do it, and it will help you understand the correct responses and a better marking. So what you see here is basically the people who have been pretty much active in the previous week's content live session. So congratulations for being there, for being persistent with us, and for learning together. And I believe there are few people who have joined in today as well. And I just hope that please be consistent so that we learn better and we learn more, and through discussions we get to learn more. Great. Okay. Now comes the part of content recap. After the content recap, we'll take a short break. But let's try to complete the content recap so that after the break, we quickly start with our set of 10 questions. All right. So this starts with the idea program and DSSE at the IIT Bombay. So IITB, basically here, the IITB is basically Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. All right. Okay. So DSSC is Desai City School of Entrepreneurship, and these are the people who are engaged with the DSSC at that time. Probably more ones would have joined in, or somebody would have left. That's something you'll have to check upon. But this was the founding team. The founding team who came together to start activities at the Desai City School of Entrepreneurship. And in terms of the content, you will see today Dr. Love Sareen, talking to our students of IIT Hyderabad MD students. And then we have Mr. Avinash, who is basically IDC IIT Bombay alumni, and how he has taken up his academic project as a part of entrepreneurship is something that is presented in the content provided. So basically, it's a solo cooker. And then it has been described the ideas program, which was initiated by the class of 1990 from IIT Bombay. And later on, in one of the sessions, you'll find Dr. Anu, who joined in terms of the feedback session in the later, week's content. Okay, and then there were certain terms which was shared and described like inverter syndrome, asking the right questions. This is in the context of solar Raman study that, to the users, you have to ask the right questions and avoid leading questions, which is like, how do you cook? What do you cook? What do you use for cooking? What is daily routine? And what are the cook options? And defining user is very, very important. Who are your user? Who are your customers? Why user buys Solar Avan and what is their basic motivation? Which customer needs are we trying to satisfy and what is the problem we are trying to solve for the user? And these are the user segments. If you see, the first one is the low income group, also called as low LIG and MIG. And the other farmers, daily workers, and their, salaried professionals, businessmen. Right. If you see the context here, for the daily livelihood and cooking of meals, that is the kind of burden the women folk in the villages they are actually carrying on their head. They have to take a long walk just to get the fuel. So that is the fuel for cooking, where you don't have the LPG supply. And then there was a slide about how would you reach. So what do you mean by channels? Channels are basically the ways you reach to your customers. So you might have different customers, right? And all these may be using different sets of technological devices. Some might be using phones, some might be using letters, some might be using telephones, some might be reading the daily newspapers, some might be listening to FM radio, things like that. So reaching out to the customer and first identifying the right customer and identifying the right channel is very, very important when you are, trying to sell your product. Okay. So the options they had with respect to solar oven was direct distribution, the Krishi Vigyana Kendra, Government of India schemes for renewable energy. RE is what? Renewable energy. And then the institutes and NGOs working in the rural development and renewable energy and the sustainable technologies. So these were identified as the channels to the customer segments Mr. Avinash was trying to reach out. Who is Mr. Avinash? Who is was the part of Solar Oven study. All right. Okay. Customer relationship, we also talked about them, how we'll get it, how we'll keep them, and how we'll grow customers. So please keep in mind that these terms are very, very different and yet important. How we get our customers, right? कैसे हमें मिलते हैं पहले customers? How do we keep our customers? As in, although you have got your customers, but you would want to retain them. You don't want to, you know, take or onboard a different kind of application. And then how you grow your customers. Okay. Let's take the example of Uber, for example. Like the way Uber started, they were giving first ride free. Okay, first ride free or 50% discount on the first ride. This is how they got their customers. How they got them onboarded. How we get our customers. Okay. How do we keep your customers? आप उनको रिटेन कैसे करोगे? By giving them certain offers, by giving them better facilities and services. For example, they brought in the various segments of transportation. So there was auto, there was bike wala thing, there was this sedan thing, and there was Uber luxury for high end things. So you can keep your customers by offering them, depending upon the place you're going to visit. Sometimes you visit a very congested area, probably a two-wheeler is better. Sometimes you go to a market wherein auto rickshaw is better. So depending upon that, you can keep your customers by offering them multiple options. And then how do you grow your customers? So they introduce something called as referrals. So if I refer somebody, probably he'll also get certain discount and I'll also get certain discounts. Right. So that was their way out of getting, keeping, and growing the customers. Now, a lot of companies have different strategies towards it. But essentially, it moves around on all these factors because what is most important is how you motivate your consumers. Because your consumers become your word of mouth. They are the active agents that actually give the right feedback and can actually take your company to a different level. So, for the case of Solar Oven, these were the relationship models like solar cooking demos at food and festivals and exhibitions. Shows like Khana Khazana by Sanjeev Kapoor, who come as a host who cooks food, and then you can get that visibility. Social media is very much active these days. Every village there has been an outreach of smartphones and connecting with the Mahila Mandal, Mahila Graha Udyog. Okay. So, social media, we have lots and lots of options depending upon your customer segment, your target audience. If you feel your target audience uses this type of, customer uses these media, then obviously it can be a good reach out. Okay. So, it completely depends on the kind of interface they have, the kind of touch points your user base is having, and accordingly you will you leverage your channels. Okay. Then comes the revenue model and pricing. Again, this is in the context of solar Raman, because the moment you have a case study in front of you, it's a little easy to understand what statements are being made. So how do you make money? What's the revenue model, pricing tactics? You can make money by direct product sale, by getting bulk orders from the government and getting government subsidies for eco-friendly products. So like in EVs, you get subsidies. Maybe in this particular segment also one can get subsidies. Monitor your progress. The goal is to get more and more customers and get the right persona of the customer. So monitor your progress. I think this is very much evident in your NPTEL platform as well. How? ये बता सकते हैं how are they helping you monitor your progress? We showed that screen. Anyone? That is through the progress bar. You get to see unit wise progress, and then you get to see your assessment progress. So this particular aspect of progress is also being leveraged by your NPTEL platform, which is monitoring your progress. And that is what Dr. Love Sareen is also talking about, that the goal is to get more and more customers as well as get the right persona of the customer. Social media is very, very critical for the data collection. What media are targeting the customers are using, how much time they are on the social media. So, all these are also important factors when you are trying to use social media channels to reach out to your customers. This is just one example of how a user persona looks like. Uh, you can actually go through them in detail, but let's just take the heads of it. A day in a life of Sarah, who is the user persona they have taken, who is a student. They've detailed out the background of the student, finances, the online behaviors, and what is she looking for in terms of needs, what influences her, which basically includes friends and colleagues, magazines, blogs, the brand affinities, hopes and dreams, worries and fears, and make her life easier. So there can be different customer segments with every specific need. Young professional who are health conscious, and that is where Dr. Love Sarino is actually suggesting Mr. Avinash, if he wants to pivot the pitch towards the young professionals. And he very beautifully articulated the entire pitch as well. Young professionals who started to see the signs of lifestyle diseases are always looking for options to have healthy meals, preferably home cooked themselves for their kids and parents, and have become increasingly hygiene conscious after the COVID era. So the pitch could be our solar cooker provides healthy meals by preserving nutrients due to slow cooking without any supervision and avoiding the wait for the meals to be cooked when you get home. It also saves the LPG to the tune of 40 to 50%, which is a huge and significant factor, as you can cook majority of your food in the solar cooker. So this includes the rice, dals, certain vegetables also can be easily cooked. All right. Now, this is a very interesting scale, and if you have gone through it, it's great. Let's have a relook at it. Problem recognition scale. Okay. So the first stage is the latent problem, which is the users have a problem, but they don't know. If they are unable to acknowledge the problem, that is the problem which is at the latent stage. Then comes your passive problem, as in they know the problem but aren't motivated or aware of the opportunity to change. So they are able to acknowledge that this is the issue, but they are not motivated to do anything about it. Then comes the active problem. They recognize a problem or a passion and are searching for a solution, but they haven't done any serious work to solve the problem. So they have acknowledged the problem, they also have the passion, and they're looking forward a good solution. And then comes the vision. They have an idea to solve the problem and even have cobbled together a homegrown solution, but are prepared to pay for better ones. So if you see from top to bottom, the interest, the passion, it increases. Passion to solve the problem. From the latent to the visionary, it is all rising basically. So these are again certain comments and statements made by Dr. Love. You can go through the content. Do not present your ideas on the basis of solution technology. We focus on the problem and not on the technology. This is in the context of a student project in which they were focusing on virtual reality. So their entire pitch was about utilizing virtual reality. So he said and suggested them that instead of focusing on the technology part, try to focus on the need part, the problem part. Figure out when the design intervention should occur. To understand this, you must understand the entire journey of the customer. These are again certain snippets, and this is the additional learning materials in the form of case study PDF. And then you have a short video by Steve Blank on customer discovery. And then you have again a detailed video of Steve Blank. So if you get time, please do have a look at it and understand more about customer discovery. All right. So now we are approaching our set of 10 questions. We'll take a very quick 1 minute break uh, and we'll meet and then we'll again start with our journey of set of 10 questions. All right. So I'll be back in a minute and then we'll start our set of 10 questions. Meanwhile, I'll present you the first question. Uh, you can identify the answer by the time. All right. I'll just, oh, the questions will be there. All right, so we are back. So we have got a comment in case of AR VR tech. One of my known startups is focusing on edutech, which is basically related to education technology, using AR VR tech like edutainment, how to approach schools in that case in South India. So, sir, if you can please articulate, I mean, you can unmute yourself and you can a little bit articulate more. I just have a abbreviation here, AJ Eniyaman. So if you're there in the call, maybe you can please turn on your mic and please elaborate your question. Okay, so audio is an option. Okay, okay. It's not working. Apologies. All right. So actually, like we were discussing the various channels, one has to figure out whether you want to go from a top-down approach or from a bottoms approach. What do I mean by top-down approach is that if we are talking about in the context of schools, you can actually go through the boards, right? One can actually connect with the CBSE board and make them understand that how you are making the learning better and how it can be helpful. Because the moment it comes from a top-down approach, the schools will be much more eager, right, to adopt anything new which is coming in. However, there are hurdles around it. It's not very easy to access them, to meet them, to convince them. There are challenges, but then if it works out, then trickle down effect is very very quicker, because just a letter and then the schools will be open to explore these options, right? What you can also do is you can just offer them free first class free experience. Rather than claiming it free classes, you can say that experiential classes, wherein you just go there, visit them, and then make the children's and the teachers experience it, and probably that experience will actually value, and then these schools will actually then approach. So anyways, especially the international schools, I mean, they're charging and a lot of money, and they want the learning experience to be better. So again, they are another set of schools which one can target, because they will be ready to consider that kind of tech, because they will have that financial capability to do it. And for them also it is a good win-win situation, because they are offering something extra in the kind of fees they are charging, right? So the international schools can be another set of schools which one can approach. Now, even if you see the government schools like the Kendriya Vidyalayas, they are also slowly revamping their classroom. They are having smart classrooms as of now. So, from a philanthropy standpoint, also, if you do something in that direction, if you are able to convince one school, and children's can be a good word of mouth, the students, and and their performance, if it is very much incremental, probably the other schools will also approach you. So there can be multiple ways, irrespective of whether you are in north or south, east or west. There can be multiple channels: top down, bottoms up, directly meeting the principals, taking their time, presenting them what value you are bringing to the students. And then like Dr. Love Sarin has said, monitoring your progress. So maybe you can just take one school or one class and ask them that you'll be helping them with the, probably say, utilize class 10th. And if your model is actually improving their scores, their overall scores, the the passing percentage, the highest scores, probably it is very much effective, and they would be happy to onboard these kind of tech, right? But then there is also a flip side to tech. What I've learned from my friends and experience is that uh, anything which goes beyond 15-20 minutes, it becomes a huge headache. Not everybody is comfortable with having a VR tech right mounted upon your head, especially the students. So there are flip sides also towards it. considering that, if you're able to tackle that, if you're able to address those challenges as well, so if you bring in the health aspect, if you bring in the traditional learning environment, and you know you have to package it in a certain way that the major component maybe remains with the traditional learning, and then small components, maybe like 10-15 minutes sessions in a week, or maybe every day. I mean, it will depend on the kind of health impact it is generating, and then you can approach it. So packaging your edutech product, which aids and does not actually be detrimental to their health, and then enhancing the learning, actually that can be the a good catch. Even down the line, what you see here is that one of the student project in the later on week content, you will see they are actually working on the VR tech for learning. And during that episode, there are also a couple of examples who are already in the market, right? So I hope AG, you were able to get certain directions. Let's see. Okay, okay, that's great. Thank you. So let's get back to our set of 10 questions. Here are the first set of questions, which is, what are the key objectives of setting up DSSE at IIT Bombay? DSSE is basically Desai School of Entrepreneurship. And what we are trying to understand are the objectives of setting up this particular DSSC at IIT Bombay. So the options given to you are to give structure and support to early stage entrepreneurs, to provide funding for the startups, provide mentorship with experienced entrepreneurs from the alumni pool, and to build a strong alumni network and derive peer learning amongst the cohort members. Okay. So you've got four options in front of you, and please note that it's a multiple choice question, and there could be multiple correct answers. So just have a little thought to it and let me know what could be the right answers for this question. So you can simply type in the chat box of Google Meet, and we'll take up from there. So the question is basically about key objectives of DSSE at IIT Bombay. Let's start with providing structure and support to early stage entrepreneurs. So the entrepreneurs who are at their initial stages, to provide funding for the startups. So they are helping in the financial support to the startups, to provide mentorship with the experienced entrepreneurs from the alumni pool, which means providing mentorship with the experienced entrepreneurs. So as you had seen, it was the class of 1990 who helped establish the ideas program, right? And especially IITs have a very strong pool of alumni and people who are not only in India, but they are also at great positions in abroad. So leveraging that kind of intellectual mindset in guiding the entrepreneurs. Because it has also been seen that for alumni it is more like a homecoming, and they are happy to guide young entrepreneurs with their experience which they have, and they're eager to basically handhold, right? And then the last one is to build a strong alumni network and derive peer learning among the cohort members. What do you mean by peer learning? So the batchmates, say for example, if you are studying in a course, the entire batchmates, batch to batch learning, person to person learning, it's the peer learning. एक दूसरे से सीखते हैं जब हम. All right. Okay. Okay. Let's see the correct answer. Through these illustrations, you'll be able to see the first one is early stage support to the entrepreneurs. I think the illustration is quite easy, and you would be able to understand, how step by step one is leading and approaching from idea towards success. Second one is about mentoring the early stage entrepreneurs, and third one is utilizing the strong alumni network. Network. Okay. So the correct answers are A, which is the first one, that is to give structure and support to early stage startups and entrepreneurs. C, which is providing mentorship with experienced entrepreneurs. And D, building a strong alumni network and derive peer to peer learning among the cohort members. So if you remember, Professor Love says that even if the cohort members are working in different areas, but then, how do you identify a good co-founder, or how do you, make your pitch or compose your pitch are things which the cohort members can learn from peer to peer. And that's where, their peer learning is also one of the correct responses. So the correct answers are giving structure and support, providing mentorship, and building a strong alumni network, as well as deriving peer learning. Let's go to our second question. In the first question, we discussed about the objectives of DSSE. The second question is about the goal of DSSE. What is the goal of DSSE for teams in level 1? So they have given the context, which is level 1, that is a 3 months program. 3 मास का होता है ये प्रोग्राम लेवल 1 का. तो उसका गोल क्या है, उसका लक्ष्य क्या है, दैट इज व्हाट यू हैव टू. Is it to make the idea successful for the team to take it forward? Is it about to make startups successful by offering initial funding? Is it about making the team successful in implementing how to do customer discovery, or all of the above? इसको थोड़ा सोच सकते हैं आप. Just give a thought, take your time, understand the options which are provided to you to respond. These includes to make the idea successful for the team to take it forward. यानी कि DSSC का गोल है कि आपका जो आइडिया है इसको सक्सेसफुल बनाना. टू मेक स्टार्टअप सक्सेसफुल बाय ऑफरिंग इनिशियल फंडिंग, अर्थात स्टार्टअप्स है उसको सक्सेसफुल बनाना बाय ऑफरिंग इनिशियल फंडिंग. इनिशियल फंडिंग मतलब जो शुरुआत में जो आपको फाइनेंशियल रिक्वायरमेंट होती है, दे विल ऑफर दैट, एंड दैट विल एक्चुअली हेल्प यू गाइड टुवर्ड्स सक्सेस. The third is to make the team successful in implementing how to do a customer discovery. Right now, this is also very, very critical, because right from the week 1 content, we have been showing that, customer talking to the potential customers, customer discovery, customer validation, all these things are very critical when you are trying to perform evidence-based entrepreneurship. Right? And the fourth option is all of the above. So So let's do the content recap and the validation. So there are two programs which DSSC offers. The first one is a level one program, which is a 3 month program, 3 महीने का होता है, and then there is level two, which is a 1 year program. It's all 12 months. Okay, एक साल का होता है, 1 year. So the 1 year program is about weekly planning. Sorry, the 3 months is a shorter one, wherein ideas with different perspectives are seen. Weekly planning sessions are done, and the 12 months program is a little intensive because you to identify target customers. You also try to build prototypes around it. Okay. The goal is not to make the idea successful, but to make the team successful. Okay. So the correct answer here is to make the team successful in implementing how to do a customer discovery. See, any of these hand-holding, they would not make the idea successful, right? Because idea is yours, and making it a success is also your effort. The effort they will put in doing the validation, right? Customer validation. They will make you do it for intensive so that you get enough evidences, and then if you work upon your idea, automatically you'll be successful, right? So that is the approach they are trying to offer, right? So the correct answer is making the team successful in implementing how to do a customer discovery. Let's go to our third question. What was the initial target user for designing the solar oven as mentioned by Avinash? Remember who Avinash is? Avinash is the IIT Bombay MDes student who actually took up his academic project, entrepreneurship. So he was doing an academic project and then he took forward it as a startup. All right. So what was the initial target user? Initial target user का मतलब when he had conceptualized this thing, तो उसके दिमाग में there would be a target user. So the options given to you are people in the rural areas, ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों के लोग, residents in the tier 2 cities of India, शहरी क्षेत्र, resident living in bungalows, and high rise building residents who lives in urban areas. तो ये बहुमंजिला इमारत, हाई राइज बिल्डिंग्स, जो आपके जो अपार्टमेंट कल्चर होता है, राइट? देयर आर मल्टीपल फ्लोर्स ऑन इट, and these are multi-storied built forms, because anyways if you see around, the horizontal or the land space is very tight today. Okay, you don't have the area of expansion, especially in the urban areas, because already there are built masses around. The only space you get is vertical, right? आप vertical expand कर सकते हो, horizontally expand करना it's tough because there are vegetations, markets, roads, next localities, but you can actually go up, है ना? आप high rise जा सकते हो, and you can accommodate a lot more people by that. Another thing is that the cost of land is increasing, especially in the tier 1 cities, the urban areas. So horizontal expansion is challenging. So the only option which you get is the vertical expansion, urban areas. Okay. So we are talking about the initial target user for the solar oven. Solar oven are basically uh, they were conceptualized as boxes which had glass and they utilized sun rays for the cooking. There were black utensils kept with food stuff inside and that were meant to food. Okay. तो क्या ये ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों के लिए था या फिर ये टीयर टू सिटीज जिसको हम T2 भी कहते हैं टीयर टू सिटीज या फिर ये जो बंगलों में रहते हैं उनके लिए था या फिर ये हाई राइज बिल्डिंग्स के रेसिडेंट्स के लिए था जो मल्टी अपार्टमेंट रेसिडेंट्स एनीवन हु वुड वांट टू शेयर व्हाट कुड बी द राइट आंसर ऑलराइट ओके ओके so this is the screen validation where you can see the high rise apartments. So basically these are multi-storied buildings. Because if you remember, Avinash went to one of the users of SolarOne and he found that the user was actually using solar cooker in the balcony. So he thought his entire residents from the high rise can actually be the potential customers. So that from that one interview, he realized that you need not get a great amount of horizontal space, lawn, and things like that. Even if you're there in the multi-story apartment and you have your built form oriented in a way where you get ample of sunlight, people can still use solar cooker. Okay. So the correct answer is D, which is high-rise building residents who lives in urban areas. All right. So all those who have suggested D, well done. Let's proceed to our fourth question. According to Professor Lavsari, where should an entrepreneurial journey ideally begin? इसकी शुरुआत कहाँ से होनी चाहिए? इसकी entrepreneurial journey की शुरुआत कहाँ से? It should start with the idea. तो अगर आपके जहन में कोई आइडिया है, it should start with that idea. It should start with the team. The other option is that you have a team and you start with a team. It should start with the first elevator pitch. It might be a new term for you, but it's something which is very much being used in the startup domain. It should start with the first MVP, and MVP stands for minimum viable product. So you've got four options right in front of you about how do we begin the entrepreneurial journey. Should it begin with an idea or with a team or with the elevator pitch or with an MVP, minimum viable product? Now, again, it's important to understand that the question needs to be responded in a certain context. And the context here is Professor Lavsari. Professor Lavsari. Okay, let's do the screen validation. Start with building a good team instead of starting with the idea. शुरुआत आप एक अच्छी टीम बनाने से करें as compared to starting with the idea. Normally what we think is that idea is very important. ना अगर अच्छा आइडिया है टीम बन जाएगी सब हो जाएगा बट इट्स नॉट द ट्रू. What Dr. Love suggests that one should start with building a good team, a team that has common goals, a team that aligns with the passion and interest. Because if you have a good team, if you have a strong team with a common goal, you will be able to come up with a good product rather than the other way around. Okay. So he always suggests that, you should start with a good team. You ideate upon with your team, you come up with a product, come up with an idea, and then you try to sell that idea. So instead of starting with the idea, Dr. Sareen suggests that one should start with a team and then you proceed to build your idea. So step one is building the team. And step two is the idea. So again, it might vary with the different people, but here we are asking in the context of Dr. Love Sareen. So that is what he has suggested and told. But if you ask some other entrepreneur or somebody who is a VC or the opinions might change. One can have a different perspective on it. But here we are referring to one particular context, one particular person, and that's the correct answer. So the correct answer to this question is starting with the team. Let's just mark it, which is option number B. Start with a team. Let's come to our fifth question. In module 4, the solar oven was developed to cater to the needs of which kind of customers after the food festival in Ahmedabad? For below poverty line group, जिनको हम बीपीएल ग्रुप भी कहते हैं, the lower income group LIG, the middle income group which is the MIG, and for employees living in government accommodation, सरकारी आवास में जो रहते हैं. Okay. Below poverty line, lower income group, middle income group, and those living in the government accommodations. What is it that we are asking? We are asking that the solar oven developer was catering to the needs of which kind of customers, especially after the Ahmedabad food festival. So, Mr. Avinash went to this food festival in Ahmedabad and he presented his solar oven. And when he showcased the solar oven, a lot of people started coming and they actually wanted. And they were asking that when can we get this oven, when it can be in the market, how can we order it? That was the kind of response he got from the people when he visited the Ahmedabad food festival, right? So if you can see here, this is the kiosk which they have at the Ahmedabad food festival. That's the backdrop, and this is their product. He just kept. Can you see this one highlighted? And he is Mr. Avinash there. And you can see, so many people are, there to inquire about what is it, क्या है ये, कैसे काम करता है, हम लोग कब खरीद सकते हैं. That was the kind of amount of feedback and interest which he gained at the Ahmedabad Food Festival, right? So the business pitch that was given was our solar oven helps lower and middle income groups in the semi-urban and rural areas to reduce the cooking fuel consumption cost, because cost was one of the factors because the LPG prices were on constant rise. And for this particular user group, it was becoming heavy for their pockets. It was high on pockets. So the correct answer to this question is LIG, which is the lower income group people, and the MIG, which is the middle income group people. Okay, let's go further to our sixth question. According to Professor Sareen, the business pitch of a product may be understood in terms of the four options are sustainability offered by the product in terms of material cost, the technology of the product to produce fast results, the value proposition the product offers to the user, and the durability of the product in terms of the build quality. So we have four options in front of you, and we are trying to understand the business pitch of a product. Is it the sustainability offered by the product? Is it the technology? Is it the value proposition? Or is it the durability of the product in terms of the build quality? Okay. Anyone who would want to suggest? All right. We've got a vote for value proposition. Let's do the validation. Perfect. Value proposition to the user is not always fast, cheap, and good design. Different users have different motivations. So, हर किसी का motivations can be different. And it's not necessarily the cheapness, especially in terms of the budget factor, fast or good design. It's not, it's an assumption. Okay. So, value proposition is something that should be the business pitch. That should be the crux of your business pitch. What value you are trying to offer to the customer. Okay. So, as one of the learners suggested, the correct answer is value proposition. Well done. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's go to our seventh question. According to Avinash, again from the solar oven, what could be the basic motivation for the target users to use solar oven for their daily cooking? to have a healthier alternative, reduce the expenditure on LPG, to tastier, slow cooked food, and all of the above. Okay, Puslen, we are asking the basic motivation for the target users to use solar oven. So, what could be the motivation to use solar oven? क्या मोटिवेशन हो सकता है कि the people start using solar oven? Any inputs, learners? Right, we've got one vote. Any more learners who would want to respond to the question? It's an easy one. If you have seen the content recap, probably you will be able to tell. So, if I may ask, what is the current price of LPG one cylinder? Anybody? It's around 14 kg. What is the price of it? You बता सकते हैं? I think it is, yeah, perfect, perfect. It is in the range of 800 to 900 rupees per cylinder. So now just imagine if we are talking about the people from below poverty line and low income group, this is a huge factor. And if you have a family of 4 or 5 members, probably the cylinder would run for 1.5 to 2 months. Right? So yearly, if you see, there is a huge consumption on this particular aspect of fuel, which is the LPG gas. Now, the moment you bring in solar oven, which generally runs on the renewable energy, which is the sunlight, you can actually cut down a lot of cost, right? बहुत बड़ा कॉस्ट फैक्टर आपका कम हो जाएगा. प्रश्न ये उठता है कि मोटिवेशन क्या है टारगेट यूजर्स का. व्हाई वुड दे यूज इवन इफ यू प्रोवाइड देम? What is their motivation to use? They can be still working upon LPGs, piped gas, whatever options they have. Why would they onboard solar cooking? Because even in solar oven, I mean, there are certain efforts required. There is a time foundation, and then there is special kind of utensils you'll be required to use and purchase and things like that. Not everything can be cooked easily at the right time. Okay, so there are challenges. So considering those challenges, what could be the motivation from the of the target users is what is being asked. The options are having healthier option to fast cooking, to reduce the expenditure on LPG gas, to eat tastier but slow cooked food, and all of the above. We got one vote for reducing the expenditure on the LPG gas. Okay, so I think that's the correct answer. If you see, it was the LPG prices which were being raised year after year, and even from the customer validation, it was found that it is the LPG price which is becoming tricky for the LIG and MIG. So the correct answer is option B, which is to reduce the expenditure on LPG. जो आपके सिलेंडर हैं, जो प्राइसेस है, बढ़ोतरी जो होगी, राइट. आगे बढ़ते हैं. लेट्स कम टू आवर एट्थ क्वेश्चन. What kind of channels Avinash is willing to use to reach out to the customers in the rural areas as seen in the solar oven case study? Again, we are coming back to the question of outreach. है ना? What do you mean by channels? Channels basically outreach. कैसे आप अपने customers तक पहुंच रहे हैं? Was it through direct distribution or through GOI schemes? GOI is basically Government of India schemes. through NGOs working for rural development and through social influencers, or you can say social media influencers. Social influencers are also there. There are social media influencers. रूरल एरियाज यानी कि आपके ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों की बात हो रही है. तो अविनाश किन चैनल्स को ही वॉज विलिंग टू यूज टू रीच आउट टू दी कस्टमर्स इन दी ग्रामीण क्षेत्र. आपके रूरल एरियाज के जो कस्टमर्स हैं उनको कैसे ही वॉज ट्राइंग टू रीच. द ऑप्शंस आर डायरेक्ट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, अर्थात आप उन्हीं को डायरेक्ट आप सेल कर दो उनके साथ through government of India schemes. So government of India also offers a lot of schemes. You would be hearing schemes on EV, two wheelers, four wheelers, and then NGOs working for the rural development. So there are many NGOs who are actually working towards the betterment of the people, the women folk, the villagers, the children who are in the Gramin Kshetra, and they're trying to better their lifestyle on various aspects of education, employment, making them more skilled, you know, and then through social influencers. All right. So let's have the voting now. Anybody who would want to vote, what could be the right answer? It's okay. I mean, we are not judging you. You couldn't be wrong as well. The main idea is that we learn better. All right. All right. Let's do the screen validation. So these are the channels. If you remember in the content recap also, we had this particular slide. And if we read it out, through which channels do our customer segment want to be reached? So the first one was direct distribution. कैसे? आप गांव में जाके एक आप शॉप ले लो और शॉप से आप डायरेक्ट सेल कर सकते हो. People can buy it from there डायरेक्ट कस्टमर के साथ. Then कृषि विज्ञान केंद्र. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया स्कीम, भारत सरकार की जो योजनाएं हैं उसको आप यूज कर सकते हैं. एंड इंस्टीट्यूट्स एंड एनजीओज, जो नॉन गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है जो इन एरियाज पे काम कर रही है खासकर ग्रामीण विकास के लिए. Alright. So if you see, the correct answers are option A, which is the direct distribution, option B, which is through government of India schemes, and option C, which is through NGOs working for rural development. See if it's fine. Okay, so with that question, we come to our second last question, which is the ninth question. It's a very interesting question because it is one question, but then we are actually asking three blanks here. Okay, so Dr. Sareen suggested a pitch, Mr. Avinash, for Solar Oven, which was about. So here is your first blank. Who started to see the signs of dash, which is your second blank. Diseases are always looking for options to have, is the third blank. So there are three blanks in this particular question. And depending upon what Dr. Sareen has suggested to Mr. Avinash, you have to respond to this particular question. So take a time and let me know what could be the right answer. If we go through the options, we'll see Young professionals who started to see the signs of lifestyle diseases and are looking for options to have healthy meals, or startup founders who have started to see the signs of heart diseases are always looking for options to have vegan meals, or elderly who started to see the signs of age related diseases and are always looking for options to have healthy meals. And finally, athletes who started to see the signs of chronic lifestyle diseases and are always looking for options to have sugarless meals. Okay, so we have got three different user personas, having three different reasons of opting to a better alternative. Personas are related to young professionals, startup founders, elderly, and athletes. However, they all have uh, different validation markers, which include lifestyle diseases, heart diseases, age related diseases, and chronic lifestyle diseases. Okay. Mhm. So let's do a quick validation of the question. So this was the pitch. It was the young professionals who started to see the signs of lifestyle diseases are always looking for options to have healthy meals. Okay. So of the four options is this is a single correct answer. The correct answer to the question is option A, which is young professionals, lifestyle diseases, and options to have healthy meals. So option is the correct one. And with this, we lead to our final question, which is question number 10. According to Professor Lavsareen, how will we get, keep, and grow customers? Now, these are three different aspects. Getting a customer, which can also be related to onboarding them or first time usage. Keeping them can also be termed as retaining them. And then growing customers, yani ki expanding the user base. So the options are focus on material, focus on the technology, initiate and improvise conversations with the people, and improvise product facilities. So one is about onboarding, second is about keeping them or retaining them, third is about growing them. Grow karna. Can it be done by focusing on materials or technology, or improvising conversations with the people, or improvising the product facilities? Okay, let's do the screen validation. Monitor your progress. I'll take the different color pen. The goal is to get more and more customers, get the right persona of the customer. Social media is very critical for the data collection. What media our target customers are using, how much time they are on the social media. So we can see both of these can only happen when you have conversations with the people. These cannot be attained if you are focusing on material or technology or facilities. This can only be achieved if we are having dialogue and conversations with the people. Okay. So the correct answer is C, which is initiate and improvise conversations. Right? So with this, we complete our set of 10 questions. Thank you who are all there in the call. There were a few drop-offs, which is perfectly fine. I think it's a weekend and probably everybody has certain work commitments or they just need a break. So it's perfectly fine. The idea is that we, on behalf of NPTEL, are there to help you, to guide you. And this entire thing is being recorded and we put as a reference. So whenever you get time, please go through it. Now we come to the discussion forum questions. We had discussed up till 5/5 of questions. Yeah, so we got some recent questions starting with sixth question in which the learner is saying that teaching was excellent, but I'm not from the Hindi background. Understanding a few things in the video, kindly change it to the next week course. Okay. So the thing is that the week wise content which you are seeing and about the course tab, these are all pre-recorded courses, right? These are not the courses which will be recorded and then uploaded. It's since past couple of times, I mean, these are the sessions which were uploaded. So it might not be possible, but then the concern is genuine, and we can request the NPTEL team to provide lecture notes in English if that can help. So you can write a mail to them. What are the things that will be discussed in tomorrow's live session? So just to add on the first question, uh, the live session, what we do is we try to use both the languages because we have a good number of learners who understand English, but then if it is also complemented with Hindi, I think it adds up to the learning from those who are from the official language domain, right? So our intent has always been that we in the live session primarily use English and we complement certain areas with Hindi. So that is what we try and do. So the second question was, what are the things which will be discussed in tomorrow's live session? So this question was posted yesterday, and now and again I have always repeated that in all these weeks we'll be discussing the week-wise questions. So this time it was the turn of week 4 content. Next time it will be week 5 content. So it will keep changing, right? It will keep changing. For every week, it will be progressive kind of a content. So like the next week, we'll be discussing on the week 5 content. Then comes the eighth question. It says, is co-founder as important as the startup idea? How to find a reliable co-founder? There are concepts like co-founder dating. Need opinions and suggestions for technology startups for the same in co-founder. Now, let us first take the perspective from the professionals, from the mentors who are there in the week 4 content. And if you see, Professor Love Sareen said that you need to start building a good team instead of starting with the idea. So, for your first question, now co-founder is also team member, right? Right. So, a co-founder and your founding team is very, very critical and important as compared to the startup idea. So, what he suggests is that first you form a team and then you go ahead with your idea. That is the kind of direction which is being given by the Professor Sarin. Now, your further questions upon how do you find a reliable co-founder, how do you, aspects around co-founding and dating. See, these are tricky questions, right? Although people have leveraged this particular need of identifying co-founding, and if you see a lot of funding agencies, they conduct these founders dating meet and things like that, these sessions. Now it's a pure luck factor wherein you might get a person with the same passion, or it could be the other way around. they might onboard, but then they back out at a certain stage. So the possibilities are there, and ऐसा हो सकता है, right? So it's something that you cannot be 100% reliable. Uh, Even I was browsing about this co-founder dating, and I found a few articles. I'll just show you before we close this thing. So I would suggest that you can go and read through it. You can understand their experiences of these, because I have not attended any of the co-founder dating meets. But if you read through their account, what their suggestion and experience was, probably you'll be able to get a better picture of how this co-founding dating applications work, right? So with that, we conclude our session today. Like I said, I'll just keep a quick preview of the co-founder, yeah, content. So if you see, this was one of the founders dating during 2020. Where a lot of people came in. They did this thing,
I just
and these are the
came out of
experiences. So you can
and over the
just
last,
go through it.
including the startups. I
Founders
mean,
dating
the
video.
startups,
You can understand their
the founders who came
experiences.
here, we learned a lot from them as well as understood. All I want to say is it's been very helpful for us. We've been trying to get our co-founder on board for quite some time. But today we have met
And
a few really good candidates that we
sorry,
can consider getting on board. Appreciate
yeah, and
100x
and
VC to
this is
do
one of
this
the
more
LinkedIn
so
content which
that
I
someone who is
found,
starting up will.
wherein why co-founder dating doesn't work, my co-founder search quest. So you will get a lot of articles. You can go through, read through them, and you'll be able to understand what perspective they are sharing, and was it helpful, was it not, was it a waste of time or money, whatever it is. I mean, through these experiences only you will be able to get the most of it, right? And as we are going to meet the next week, so week 5 content is already up, which is about the healthcare and innovation, right? So you have 3 lecture sessions. Professor Ravi will be starting there from the Chennai Innovation Studio. No, so it is Professor Chakravarti, and then Dr. Ravi will be sharing the medtech success stories, right? And the lecture number 11 is about the innovation process. And then you have the week 5 deadline, that is for the 26th of Feb. Okay. So I believe the week 4 deadline is still awaited. As we have seen, it's still 19th of Feb. And if you have not been able to submit, I would suggest that please do it, because it will be something which will add up to your final marks. And once again, sharing the problem solving session tab. So it's available here, and all the PDF content and the video lecture content gets uploaded here. So for today's week as well, we'll be uploading the week 4 content and the presentation very soon, right? So you can wait for a while, and it will be uploaded. So now I will stop sharing. All right. So thank you, AJ and Bhavna, for being there in the session, for answering the questions, for participating in the dialogue, and helping this session remain active and empowering the learning process among all the peers. With that, we conclude our session today. And the very next week, we'll be meeting once again at 3 p.m. and we'll be discussing the week 5 content. And till that time, I thank all. Thanks for being there. Thanks for learning together. And I hope that there are a few entrepreneurs who are in making, who get the most of these sessions, and wish you a lot of success. Thank you. Namaste. Just look at the recording part and we'll stop.